possible for a rock band. You know, they would sweat all over everyone, and yet they were just amazingly tight. I've never seen a band like that before or since. So they were huge for me. Sugar was huge for me because the heaviness was heavier than Rush in terms of the guitar and the angst level and the sort of saturation of it all. It was just, you know, extremely dense.
Yeah.
And but the harmonies and the melody and the vocals, it was just as melodic, and it was just, there was always something to hang your hat on. You know, I don't listen to a lot of metal or really anything that doesn't have a very strong melodic element to it. And so the Sugar for me was great when Beaster came out. I mean, I listened to that constantly, and it was just like, okay, huge, heavy guitars, heavy everything, but great tones, but then these melodies and these vocal harmonies, which I really loved. In particular, the first song on Fortune Cookie, which is called Love Me Anyway, has this sort of Bob Mould Sugar style vocal harmony, and I just love doing that because it always sounds so cool and reminds me of when I was a little bit younger, I guess.
Yeah, nostalgic.
Right.
So anyway, it's kind of time has passed, but that image of playing 12 plus hours a day on Harvard Square is that's pretty intense. That's awesome that you had the nuts to to stand out there that long and hone yourself. What do you do now for touring? Do you
I don't do anything.
You're a mad scientist in the studio?
Yeah, it's like one guy in his room creating rock albums. You know, I'll play acoustically maybe once or twice a year if I'm asked to and have the opportunity. And if you look on YouTube, there's a variety of live videos of concerts I've done over the last, you know, couple of years. But you know, being the solo guy, it's a very, very different, you know, atmosphere and experience to play acoustic when it could be epic rock.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the trick when you're a solo guy. If you want that to replicate what you had in the studio, you gotta shell out, and to shell out, you either have to be independently wealthy or
Right.
or
I
something.
don't want to, you know, that's the thing, right? I don't want to hire people to play my songs, right? I want to find people that hear the songs like, oh my God, this is my life's work is now to play bass for this guy, right?
Oh. Well, that guy still needs to eat.
Right. Yeah, true enough, right? So anyway, the focus for me is songwriting and recording right now, just because I don't have, you know, my best buddy who plays bass and my good pal playing drums and
Right.
and all that. And I really think that that's what's needed to create a viable live entity.
Why don't you do what I do? I mean, I can't play drums, so I have a guy, a ringer, who I've known for years and who is enthusiastic about my music. And I know I pay him when I can, but you know, he's been playing for me even when I couldn't pay him. And so
Right.
maybe next time you try to get, at least you get a guest guitarist, guest drummer you can recruit to your cause. Maybe.
Yeah, it's a great idea. You know, as I look at the track listing of the Fortune Cookie record, I imagine how much fun it would be to play some of these songs live. I think they would just really just leap out.
Yeah. No, I think so. But so I will play. I like the title track of the album.
So now here's a funny note about this.
What?
So the song Fortune Cookie, I had as the number one song on the record. It was a 13-song record. And I was driving around and I just decided that it didn't fit with the rest of the material. And so I took it off the record, and now I have a 12-song record that starts with Love Me Anyway instead.
Yeah.
And now I have put up Fortune Cookie as a bonus track on my Bandcamp page, and then basically trying to get all the proceeds to go to help the earthquake repair in Haiti.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I thought, you know, hey, if I'm not going to put this song on the record, and I know it's a good song. I wrote it maybe 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So I guess it shouldn't be a shock to me if it doesn't fit seamlessly with these contemporary songs. But yeah, on my page, which is averch.bandcamp.com,
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
yeah, yeah, I've got the Fortune Cookie single as a $1 donation that helps benefit the earthquake relief. Just seeing what good can I do with this art. Maybe probably will not generate millions of dollars, but I figure it can't hurt.
No,
So
no, that's awesome. So, pardon me if I'm probably any fans of Rush or the site are not going to be too interested if I get into the talk shop with you, but just because I'm curious.
sure.
So, what's your ambition career-wise? Are you wanting to stay where you are and quit your day job from being the mad scientist in the basement, just producing music? What's your kind of
Yeah,
goal?
well, it's tough, man. I mean, of course, it's my dream that I could support myself, you know, through music. But I've got a family, and I'm, in my mid 30s, and so there are
Me
a
too.
lot of sort of realistic considerations that a guy has to make. Um, so while I have ambition of being a self sufficient musician in terms of lifestyle and income generation, I have to be as pragmatic as I have to be to because the kids need new shoes and all the rest of it.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm in the same place.
Yeah. That being said, who knows? If I keep my goal really, from a realistic perspective, is to just make as much material as I can and as good material as I can and try to get it out there for people because I think that, a lot of these songs have kind of a different perspective on things than most rock songs. This album, Fortune Cookie, is mostly about relationships and the difficulties of relationships and how to take it on yourself to understand the contributions that you've made to the situation for good or for not for good. And I find that most music or the general default setting for people when they are thinking about their relationship is, well, why aren't you doing this? And I don't like it when you do that. And I wish you'd do this other thing. And then there's very little kind of self reflection and self ownership about the state of things.
Hmm.
And so what I'm trying to say, there's a song called Landfall. And the refrain is coming up against my limitations. And when I heard that song being sung back to me on the recording, I thought, you know what? I've never heard that type of sentiment in a rock song. That okay, emotionally, I'm limited, and I recognize that, and I understand that, and this is the way it manifests itself: is that I can't I can't figure out the right way to be or the right thing to do, and um, I don't know. For me, it feels like it's unique, but there's probably somebody else out there doing the exact same thing I just haven't heard of.
Well, no, I mean it's. I think it sounds pretty unique, and even if it were, you know, you ticked off a bunch of other influences besides Rush that, and now that you mention them, I'm not the biggest high fidelity guy who knows all the obscure bands, but those ring true as influences in the music. So even if you were just like a Rush nut from start to finish, and you consciously
Yeah.
tried to make your music sound like Rush, it always comes out a little skewed, a little off, and unique. So
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. For the Rush fans that read your site and listen to the podcast, I think that there are some super Rush moments. And one of the things about Rush that I've always loved are the guitar solos. For me, that's the high point of every Rush song. Um, Emotion Detector is a great example of a Rush song that, if it didn't have the most amazing guitar solo you've ever heard, would be just kind of an okay song. Right? It's not amazing. But then when he plays that solo, it's like, forget it.
Yeah.
This is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. And that's how I feel about all his leads. Chemistry, After Image is beautiful. Even on the new record, the track Faithless has a beautiful solo. Bravado in the live version. For me, the Rush song exists so that when Alex plays a lead, it just transcends. And that's the experience that I really aspire to, and I try to have a solo in each of my songs, and I don't think I can play that good, right? As far as Alex, because Alex is the best. But I want to push my playing to create for my songs the same effect, where like, okay, I'm going along, I'm in a rock song, this guy is introspective and all this, and then bam, the lead hits, and I want every time to just make that lead say everything that the vocal and the music are trying to say, but just push it to that other level.
It's funny you mentioned I forgot about that. Yeah, your style is of lead playing. Maybe if I hadn't connected with you through this Rush channel, I might not have caught it. But absolutely, I hear Lifeson all over it, and in a good way. I mean, anyone who can, there's hundreds and hundreds of, there were in the '80s hundreds of Eddie Van Halen ripoffs, right?
Right.
And there were several of them that were just very good. No matter if they were finger tapping their asses off, but I definitely hear it in the tone, in that kind of peculiar use of the vibrato, the whammy ba, as they say back east.
That's right.
It's very cool. I appreciate it comes across, so it should.
Yeah, it's absolutely out of love. As far as what his playing has meant for me, just personally. It brings tears to my eyes. There's a song, Available Light, right? They never ever have played it live, but it's still one of I think they're best songs of all time. And why is it so great? Because the lead, if you listen to that lead with headphones on and your eyes closed, you will cry.
It's pretty great.
It's really fantastic, and I'm sure that they probably don't know how great some of this stuff is. One thing I haven't told you about is the time I met Rush.
Oh.
So this is kind of a fun story. Back, I guess it was 1992 or 1993, they were given the award from Harvard Lampoon of Musicians of the Millennium. Right? Yeah. And so, they do this thing with the Hasty Pudding Club, and they had, I think, Anne Hathaway there recently. And they basically find a way. This is the humor group within Harvard.
Right.
One of my friends from high school was in Harvard and was part of this Harvard Lampoon group.